the low species value nature system, the trick or treat for the value for the Halloween only can trick yourself for the New York game, the Boroughs book. For example, if I'm left alone with no representative, which we need for sequence nature, in relationship to our use of identity theft is the nature of our counter. We're going to put extortion as our ground. We're going to talk about the identity of ground as our light. We're going to use with that the value of recorded women worse than criminally incompetent with the treatments of Roe versus Wade. Worse than torture against themselves. All they have to do is sign a law that says, no, you could never force us to have an abortion. You know, and if they want to say that those courts are recorded criminally foreign influence, the delusions wrought. Remember that. We have all fake women behind fake men, needing to hide their area crime rolls. Uses of each age of fact treatment nature, recorded liars, women and men. Victims, victim predators, recorded how maintained this way. How they name stack. We'll examine this. The hard way or the easy way. Fake branches fall. Fix the fake news crime acts, because this is also crime acts with Russians before the election crime acts, and then crime methods and acts roles with the FBI. Also with the concept of a perfect world. Offensively defending positions they know they can't defend without telling lies. Recorded perjury racket rolls. Tied to that. All lifted as fake names. The concept of the FBI is recorded, used for behavior rackets, physical delusions, intersciences, and we're going to take positions into each of the sciences. So, I promised that even though it's not, the reason, one of the most important reasons is it's not a good counter. Reparations as a fact treatment is because it leaves out the black agencies involved criminally with other agencies, natures, Russians, Asians, against their own too, where it counts. Valuing fact treatment, nature, fake sides, where they're rolls together as pseudo-peace. Criminal insidiousness nature is criminally foreign influenced. Left by our founders with criminal insidiousness nature as the value of their treatments of the Declaration of Independence. Want to demonstrate it for them, by them. That's our ground. The identity of ground. We're going to connect with its complete nature. Lights. Who trains? This fights. So we're gonna still go after reparations. We're gonna put it inside the Boroughs book, inside the New York game. Who'll train? Species body wakes. We're gonna train species, states, and cities. This is recorded intercities, interstate maintained criminal foreign influences. Using the interstate trade center manifest equivalents in other nations. Forced markets positions from a tactically denatured relationship to identities, the identity of ground. As we'll examine, as the sciences were originally and still, offensively intersciences, behavioral predators with areas, covering up libel aggressions tied to their roles with database crimes, identity thefts. See, that's what we're gonna first counter what we share. Needing to counter together, which is identity theft. Each modern nation is an identity of negative value nature progression maintained through what is sickly to distinctly hurting each nation, specifically to maintain itself and maintaining all self-cultivated roles, blaming it with it does on others on selves, valuing that. The breaching method roles, breaching nature roles. Physical delusions juxtaposed, not let demonstrated with speculation. with value nature system treatments, with reality nature system treatments. We'll examine how reality, space, and existence are, each semi-nature, recorded to correlation and demonstration of the only complete nature that bonds them, as valued distinctly and non-distinctly as Earth's. I tell you first. So all women have to do is say, we don't want to be forced to do anything. It's not even just important for that. It's because we have, there are recorded situations where people actually need medical help and they won't let it, so they have laws where they force that. But those laws are criminally used. And they were anticipated that they would be criminally used by various natures of courts and of interbranch, various natures of the same court and of various natures of superior courts, intercity, criminally involved with each other. All them involved with them. As victims, though, only understanding, though, through life progression cover-up natures, needs, and roles, and life progressions, tied to their relationship to the identity of ground intercity. Undercover policing, training on off campuses, maintained inter-campuses, live progressions facilitated needed by Russians and Americans together. Not for what they're claiming in the background, but for the roles with the original organized crime method to all areas, evil, intersciences, now they're demonstrated. Worse than criminal incompetence and physical delusions with treatments of color, of counters to what organized crime methods stole our founders' identities, sequence, shift, force, then glorify. We'll see knowledge, intersciences, pretending knowing the most facts, is being used to hide sequence shifts right up front with American history, right up front with intersciences, physical delusions, like law, organized crime countering bodies, interbranch, inclusion originally and still, as forced, per what was a whole bunch of fake nations already entrenched here. England in the face of it, criminal insidiousness or pretended criminal insidious nature roles, pretending they don't understand each of those sides fake. Together, the peace they were in relationship to the negative value nature progression in wars was a criminal insidious nature of peace in layers. Grouped identities of police forms, of identities of law, all victim predators, pretending other as criminal insidious nature as a positive. So we're going to use organized crime terms. I'm not lawyer, not police form, not criminal, not military boxings. I tell you things. We're going to discipline the military because they're recorded needing it. They're recorded with punks, fakes, recorded posers in the background, pretending integrity, where and how the value of the FBI is also recorded used for women abuses that are manifest with the men sick. Because each age of campus was lied to. How? Tortured, hurt. Everyone was shown a theater that was orchestrated together. Everyone missed how. So, as the time of and the fact treatment of value of the value nature system, jobs, treatments, how much this person is going to pay in their time like that, their defenses of what they can't defend in correlation natures means to correlation at the same time. They're using celebrities like who invest money and things like that as fronts, as weapons, with criminal insidious nature that is not legally legalized. And crime methods and roles and needs and natures, preventing free speech from demonstrating it by stealing our identities into branch. By pretending people, you committed a law. This little kid stole some backpack. They put him in jail in New York, or wherever. Whatever they have excuses for everything facilitated for them. They're pretending that to overcome recidivism, they should be evil. You know, they're not going to learn through that, and they're not honest about that. They don't really believe that that's how they're going to stop things. See, boxing. We have not one identity of the law that isn't really recorded. Criminally foreign influence science is uncharged originally still. They're glorifying, as criminal and city-state natures, glorifying the recorded identity thefts of our founders. They wanted us to explain how they had to be criminal and city-state natures of positive, pretending other. Forced language. Forced treatments of the relationship of everything monitored to all spots, all locations, and uses of that, which is interfamily members, or crime method. Everyone ignores more than realized, and more than is realized is discernible. We have to use correlations, simultaneously inherent, active, and progressive means. This is offensively being prevented into sciences, physical delusions, criminal foreign influences. So we're going to deal with the predicate act and recorded criminal incompetence with each nature of agency and their family members, maintained identity theft acts, roles, pretending illusions, theater, into online. All this is recorded online. Child abuses, women judges, switching, forging names, attaching family members to fake conversations, tortures, threats not to say anything about it, also using WFSB and other news agencies like that, criminally, fake news crime acts, medical crime acts with the substance of that, as one of the natures of crime acts and of criminals criminally involved with a Christine Bedard, a Christine Tardet, and other Christines recorded and confessed involved criminally with men and women doctors associated with a woman doctor named Graham, recorded and confessed with various natures of courts and their extended and immediate family members, involved further criminally through time with a middle school, per them, recorded and confessed. Physical delusions juxtaposed with criminal foreign influences, and which is ill nature, as actually recorded needing to hide their natures, forging names, switching names, crime acts, roles, crimes with Sandy Hook tied database clicks, tied to crimes with sex offenders, with principal sex offenders school they forced first, and still further, with interbranch further tied to that. A whole bunch of men and women police associated with Covington Street also recorded and confessed criminally involved with interbranch police since before that. But since before I went to that location, they were trying to cover it up by, they put them into narratives, and they're switching and forging names with judges too, and crime acts in other cases. They have women with shared sexual relationships involved with private police and intercity police on and off campuses, and with a detective Samuda who pretended he arrested me. With more sex crime acts, and as sex crime roles with a principal sex offender and others, they were forcing with that and not letting it reported intercity. They weren't letting all kinds of girls, for different reasons, tell on forced, sustained things, also through victims of sexual abuses, through sexual circles that are tied to what is keeping interbranch families associated with each of the campuses, in the background tied to crime methods, sticking illusions in databases and not letting it demonstrated, and forcing courts to settle things that are already criminally involved with it. That's recorded too, not letting it demonstrated. There's a Dr. Shub of Modern Languages and his wife associated with a probate court probate courts with a Delafair family, also recorded, confessed, involved with complete strangers and with themselves, with identity thefts, with crimes with kids of various natures, with the probate courts, associated with their extended family members, and houses in my area associated with sex offenders. One of them might be on that list as undercover, but he's recorded involved with sex crime acts and roles anyways, interbranch and online. Also with police, with WFSB, and with Fox CT, and recorded with crimes with interbranch, forging names, switching names, roles, pretending things recorded so they can force a child sex offender. they use the methods of pretending people are harassing people by trying to report recorded sex crime acts on kids, and then they call back a couple of times and they make confessions, and then because you call back more than once, because they call back more than once first, they arrest you for harassment and make up and hid all those confessions and force the principal sex offender who only got caught afterwards by mistake off campus. Also, I never had a conversation in my life with Pierce mother. She implied she was the mother of Matt Pierce and of his brothers and sisters, as one of the houses near a corner one of the corners of a school on Highcrest Street with the principal sex offender, and with fire department drug clicks, with identity theft acts rolls, crime acts rolls with various natures of judges and doctors, foreign and domestic and military, criminally involved with databases, identity thefts, criminal uses of triages to prevent police reports by forging names of doctors and by switching them, by attaching me to fake conversations with a Leahy family of doctors. Men and women involved also with that as mail crime acts, wire crime acts, crime acts with federal criminals recorded associated with them, with drug crime acts, interbranch drug clicks, federal criminal crimes proven after I got out of high school with a daughter in my grade, and with like an Eric Jensen who lived in Newington, went to my class, also with state police, and interbranch crime acts rolls, and with overt criminal enterprises, and with the federal criminals, family members and stuff like that, and people associated with Two Ride Highway, and with Hang Dog Lane, that also with sequence shifts. I never had anything to do with them the whole time they were in high school. There was some kind of, they put everyone in narratives with the people who were in my class, also with the Delaferro family and various natures of, like, police forms and doctors associated with I don't know the names of the family on Two Rod Highway. There's a Victorian house that's also recorded and confessed involved one of the houses with a Phil Cololo and two Mendez police brothers, interbranch with crime acts with sex offenders as police, pretending things were recorded to hide their crime acts rolls with that. Identity thefts, faked illusions in the past, pretending they know me. Directed to act out illusions that got messed up a little, so I saw it. In other words, it could demonstrate it recorded, because they're also recording fake things. Vaccine. So in other words, women are not being honest because and men aren't being honest because they're in collusion, interbranch, intercampuses. This is maintained off campuses, then on off campuses. It's maintained from off the ground of education as our shared identity of relationship to itself. That one has Earth's value at the same time, distinctly and non-distinctly, so we can see this. As science reveals, there are three natures of volume. And there is one nature of relationship they have to themselves, as positive or negative, as a trinity nature, as what causes an invention to work or not, and to simultaneously be further positive or negative or not. See, so our volume, even though it's increasing nature of value, through these other value nature systems. These are tactically ulterior than the perfect value nature progression system that is tied to our fact treatment nature, why it is fact treatment nature as value. See, we have, so to counter how color was forced to maintain us perpetually incapable of demonstrating the recorded organized crime method using various nations, pseudo-identity together. using defended roles and positions and justifications of and convictions in relationship to it as, and so as physical delusions, to it as an identity of negative value nature progression that humanity is in. That's really why we have problems with military that are ignoring how there's an escalation and even needs to spend so much money on a lot, not just building weapons, but why and how that positive value nature is state criminal and seditious nature, not used to build out of tactically nature relationship to nature, especially in urban areas. The ancients understood as a volume of nature when we are truth always not, and using what is only true always and as exceptions as our guide, that inherent to consciousness, Trinity nature. Correlation nature is a Trinity nature, inherently, actively, and progressively. There is an inherent nature of volume, an active nature of volume, and a progressive nature of volume. The inherent and the progressive are perfect, and each person is this active value as simultaneous nature, as value, because that's the only way a complete nature could come through and be more and more of itself as value in a nature it's not compatible with, but through how it's simultaneously compatible as making more and more positive value nature volume or negative value nature volume bonded with the perfect value progression of its identity. We have identities that share, that are one nature of positive. Negative value nature experience is another nature of positive. And positive value nature that's also positive onto our identity is another nature of positive. It's also only positive onto our identity when our identity as a semi-nature, as a complete nature, is only positive onto the complete nature of all things. Vaccines, or it forces it away from here, force-based nature transfer, lethal IDs. So each body of value has what the halo was all about, and why the A is on the left side of Jesus when you're looking at it in art, and when you're looking at English, and why the W was on the right side. And this is about what the Quran is recorded demonstrably about too in relationship to criminal and seditious nature, where the front of the Quran is not debatable about what lies in the delusions in relationship to being about the liars in relationship to internation, interstates, and areas, criminal foreign influence, criminal and seditious natures of positive, the natures of liars and motivations to it that are being demonstrated by the Quran and by the Old Testament, tied to how ancient sciences and revelations and the actual integrity of the sciences were criminally re-engineered to fit all to roles as identity nature. They knew would stay. Self-defended, criminal and seditious nature causes nature's needs and roles as life progressions to all spots. As life progression cover up nature's needing to appreciating, valuing, correlation nature's trinity obfuscated, all maintain roles as fake sides of issues and as fake middles, as in sequence shifts collusion styles, natures, needs and roles, invested with fact treatment nature as the quality it was forced to be, as the theater it was forced to be with colonizations, laws that were entrenched here since before our founders' births. So we have a crime method that is also motivating people to pretend they care about the Constitution, about the Declaration of Independence, as criminal and seditious natures, as tools and as weapons, and physical delusions wrought to not realizing. So, There's also fake sides, evil religion, stewardships, fake care for it, and hurt against it, fake integrity of science, opinion, nature, pretended honest, not honest. Everyone's fake sides, only letting knave, theater, screen, breaching screen hid at all podium levels, areas, states, and nationally. Because the intercampuses, we have life progression, pseudo nature positive, criminal and seditious nature. Justifications of that. Forced criminal and seditious nature positive. It's not perfect world narratives in the minds of our directors, recorded with physical delusions and crime roles with lower ranking, and with training of that on off campuses, delusions wrought, criminally foreign influences. And indifferent to it, valuing it for other needs to hide lie, progressions, lies, by valuing the titles used to, everyone valuing the perfect world forsaken to and as interbranch criminally foreign influence collusion, grouped together and individually, each branch, each family. And that's how they were motivated to not let demonstrated criminal uses of the right to lie. Criminal uses interbranch of notions of the force per them, per on-off campuses, from off campuses recorded criminally involved with military and with foreign and domestic police and families, and in a way that is keeping it too economically terrifying to address that, and torturing, where that's why this is how each modern nation is non-distinctly hurt by what is sickly hurting each modern nation distinctly, is just to keep it non-distinctly how hurt, played, maintained, self-cultivated to what you can't defend and us at the same time, and or themselves as predators. They're not, they say, oh, one crime method, pretend they heard someone bought pot. One crime method, they make up things. So, oh, that's person criminal. These people are sex crime acts roles. These people are pretending things recorded crime roles. Online even, in cases even recorded, through time. The same people like that, every day throwing people in jail. The same day attaching innocent people in jail, attaching people who maybe did something wrong to more, attached to like all fake narratives. Criminal uses of the identities of the law with area, with offensive vetting, and with offensive, the FBI has no integrity. They have sex crime acts rules. They have uses of that for crime acts and methods recorded in cases where they have federal criminals criminally involved with them. And with the defendants, as defendants of former director of the FBI, recorded with them, tied to male crime acts, recorded, interbranch sex crime acts, recorded, wire crime methods, and so acts and natures, recorded, in collusion with other natures of industries also, recorded criminally involved in their family members, degenerates. So fix the fake news, because it's worse, and say sorry to the Weathersfield families about lying about me, and WFSB, let's go, because also, and Mr. Murphy, if you're associated with the police with the Stop It shop, which was implied, and besides and with the Gallucci family with the educational department at CCSU. So that's also with the family members. Many people from my town recorded, used as victim predators in narratives in the background, and with databases and with all that interacting with the campuses maintained as crime tools from off campuses, with sustained on-off campuses live progression, cover up nature's needs. That they have like, for their own personal and grouped criminal foreign influences needing to hide crime roles, criminal uses of Mike Oliver and of Sammy Vega and of Greg Kyler with criminal justice cliques criminally involved with the ones with the state judicial branch offices and houses next to them criminally involved with the Fienza family, also criminally involved with the body dumping spot of Billy Grasso and other natures of crimes with men and women against kids tied to that. And there were crime rolls with drugs confessed to me and others that don't know them either. And there are crimes with WFSB, also with locations in Rocky Hill. And they're also recorded criminally, consciously pretending criminally not to realize that and lying about me further, preventing mandated law, they forced a principal sex offender not told on, and with all the natures of crime acts that brought that up, and other sex crime acts and actors involved with the campuses, intercampuses further. Their name stacking and their name forging and switching interbranch. They're using time when you go in there. In other words, they're attaching me and my family members to fake conversations. They're using the right to lie for what they can, for perjury rackets, for sequence shifts. They use a crime method where they keep having the police show up, and that scares the woman so that they don't know what's going on. And they use the things said by that when they're trying to figure it out. They attach those people to fake lies, and they're stacking them up in databases, but with various natures of courts criminally involved with their family members, also the area through time. They've been using the sensibilities of houses in my area, and see, none of those people are gonna force the people they know in the background to follow mandated law. And they're indifferent to abuses of, they're recorded sex crime acts rolls, drug crime rolls with the Dillon family, other military, foreign, and domestic criminally involved. His former, some guy who said to a speech class, I had 2 speech classes when I was in high school criminally involved. They stack people to crime acts rolls with interbranch and on and off campuses, interstate criminal justice cliques, military cliques, police fakes. I never had, also they use area illusions and sequence shift roles, identity theft crime roles, sequence shift roles, with a Chet Casper, confirmed 2 times, the only 2 times I was ever in his presence, 3 times, but that was peripherally, it wasn't even directly, that he's involved with downtown Hartford and with database illusion stacking cliques, with military, family, foreign, and domestic criminally involved, including with Russians. And then they have the Russian lady, since before it was that, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with the Russian families, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated criminally involved. Also the state judicial branch offices, actors on and off that spot, and houses next to it, criminally involved. With the Fienzas, fake news crime acts, medical crime acts against kids with their drug cliques, with the courts criminally involved. Through time, with crime acts. This is tied to criminal uses of the streams of court each day, per what originally was causing more than 99.9% of the crimes that used crazy laws like slavery. Who denies that has physical delusions or, criminal foreign influences, worse value. So, excuse me. Also New Haven, for example. Hartford, not just Hartford, each city, when they have spots where there's really no nightlife in Connecticut. But in New Haven, next to Yale College, they have, like with Hartford, they have standing a whole bunch of police for security reasons. For reasons in relationship to how we have shared Puerto Rico criminal justice people associated with it. You see the medical corruption with doctors' cliques recorded forging names, switching names, drug crime rolls as doctors' drugs, other kind of drugs with their patients, and with policing of the hospitals used for crimes with areas to hide life progressions, because the various natures of courts and their family members and all that tied to them were used criminally through time. They were used for crimes leading up to a 2006 case and leading up to the Trade Center attack. But I didn't see the time, the recorded ties at the time. But I was recorded with others having asked, having tried to counter, but recorded crime methods preventing such, per quality of fact, cheap nature, force fake. I also never saw Eric Burgess on the campus of CCSU in my life. His confessions recorded on campus police were also with women from Hartford Superior Court recorded and confessed involved criminally with them, leading up to the 2006 case with former director of the FBI and his co-defendants. Also, one of them, Thaddeus Grabowski, right before that case, recorded and confessed involved with Allison Mulcahy and her sister and family. I never had a conversation, never had anything to do with her in my life. John Mariano and two DeMaine brothers and two Mendez brothers recorded and confessed involved with the two Mendez brothers forging, switching names interbranch. Crime rules with others who did that interbranch before that a number of times. Also, criminal uses of houses in my area and of their relationships to FBI, criminally involved. Also, with it directly and indirectly with the family of a witness protection place associated with the FBI, criminally involved in the area. There's an end also with others, military and DMV cliques and people associated with John Mariano with fake news crime acts, drug crime acts, identity theft crime acts, and sequence shift crime rolls with the courts criminally involved, with him personally too, and with stuff with the DMV, DOT. Danielle Perron, I never had a conversation with her in my life. Also, a bunch of her boyfriends that were around, like they're like with what is tied to the CCSU crimes with the people from my town, they had other people act things. Like one time, she had one of her boyfriends, a marked Violet, hand me a joint while I went around the side of that. And then she came out, like timed. And he's tied to a Justice Kovinskis and his wife with the military police tied to a the locations criminally involved, and like with the Samuel Dick's house, and with the child sex offenders for their drug crime rolls, identity theft, sequence shifts. I never tried to contact him in my life. They were also demonstrated that implied that there at one time that he was associated with crimes with offensive evidence reception in relationship to a narrative with a flag. And with observing people's behavior, with and as behavioral predators, because they're also using little punks like this, like against people they know could beat them up, even though he's military, stuff like that, and they're little sex offenders cliques that look like sex offenders, and then people bigger like Chet Casper. There's big people bigger than me that could beat me up, but Chet Casper could not beat me up. He can't even talk. That's how fraudulent these people are. Because they're in the background, they were raised needing to hide life progressions. Because they were in background with sequence shifts. They're telling people how to lie to people in other classes and to other family members by timing how they're going to communicate, what they're going to communicate about. And this is a sustained crime method against fact cheap in nature. Keeping all recorded, keeping all fake sides of issues, fake middles. Offensive predators against correlation nature, which is a trinity, sabotaging it. Its value. Positive or negative is not ground. But What works is in relationship to an invention that is invisible but discernible. It's the same anywhere you go. It's our nature's relationship to itself, which is also further positive or negative, as what causes more of our volume here, as what causes evolution, as our complete nature's complete relationship to itself, or as what forces it away from here, lethal IDs. This is the difference, and is why and how, simultaneously, distinctly and non-distinctly, the complete identity of all things at once is simultaneously onto it and as itself, as perfect value progression, as identity nature. We are to see how simultaneously, distinctly and non-distinctly, to see how the same way. This is how we see the Trinity. We see its value, which is identity nature, which is only a hierarchy in relationship to what causes evolution, how we know it, which is by being three natures of volume with a positive nature of relationship to themselves. We'll examine how psychology is wrought with physical delusions, criminal foreign influences, and areas maintained this way. How their motivations also recorded, and their natures recorded, needing to hide from correlations, nature, simultaneously inherent, active, and progressive means. We are recorded where we have interbranch women. For example, that's how through time they have all these narratives. They have criminally foreign influence precedents. They have crime methods. They have awes. Each age of position of fact treatment nature is an awe in relationship to pseudo-positive. Criminal insidious nature a positive. Theater positive. Not correlation nature. That can't defend itself and be the voice of law. That can't answer the questions of the law. And not by accident. That's a standing tool. As a criminal insidious nature valuing everyone being told to respect titles that are involved, recorded originally is still evil. Areas crimes, preventing free speech, preventing freedom of religion, methodically too. So because they need to hide from crime act sequence shifts that demonstrate this. Crime methods recorded that demonstrate this. Them recorded pretending other into databases. That's why they use in riot crime. They're recorded criminally, pretending people cooperate or not. Criminally, as means to pretend they don't realize that they're using the right to lie, in collusion with criminally foreign influence, shared Russians, Americans, all these natures of police and nations with overt criminal enterprise juxtaposed with these private ones. And with private policing also used as a weapon for the fact-cheating nature rackets, switching names, forging names, mandate crimes, sequence treatment crime, time treatment crimes, either extortion acts to all areas. They're not letting free speech demonstrate what really is unacceptable standards. They're consciously, methodically, crime method, keeping black people blaming the wrong things, blaming white supremacy. That's engineered crime rolls per the black agencies and juxtapose criminal with our nations too, intercampuses. Crime rolls with a Dr. Moimeka. Victim predator, associated with criminal uses of Sammy Vega. See, this is everyone facilitated to sensibilities they can't go back and defend. Opinions that are worthless, because their natures are worthless where and how it counts. Then they have to pretend it's personal. You know, they're brought up by the crime acts of the interbranch actors. Various natures of courts criminally involved. Needing to have liars directed how to lie, because they're not going to get away with it. They can't get away with it on paper. They can only pretend that by pretending they weren't coached to it, as was recorded. That they weren't criminally foreign influence to it, facilitated to it. So I don't care about their motive. Their motives are their crime acts. They're switching names, forging names. Their crime methods with treatments of the Trade Center attack with its investigators. Also per and how other nations, like Amavi, CCSU, is used with other nations, like with the Scalora family, recorded and confessed involved crimes with overt criminal enterprises. People with her family members also. Like, even she told one of the girls that they attached to fake evidences with the Trade Center crime clicks. This is also a proven sequence shift in the Ninth Circuit with federal criminals facilitated the crime rolls with her family members. Her extended family members too, a DeMorrow family. And this is a person I barely saw in life. Just stopped by my presence a couple times. Also criminally involved with police forms associated with both ends of New Park Avenue and Park Street through time. And with child schools, intercity, criminally involved. Many other men and women at CCSU that are used to facilitate, to pretend things, to spread rumors with girls and stuff like that, in the background, because they're using their fake men need fake women, sequence shifting with them, because men aren't going to fight with a girl, and as much as we could help it, verbally. I'm not going to fight ever physically with a girl. But I'm saying that's also the recorded crime methods, crime uses of women policing forms and involved with drugs form, crime rolls on and off with the FBI building area with New Haven clubs tied to various natures of courts criminally involved with the Dr. Shub and with the crime acts with other natures of courts, other people with that nature of court, like with a probate court and with triage places associated with New Haven and with Hartford and with various cities criminally involved with WTNH fake news crime acts rolls, also with a person who goes by who says his name is Arnold. Apparently, the person who was wearing camouflage shorts in a WTNH story they did shortly after mine on the same area and location in New Britain near Yale, where they had like dozens of people reportedly taken to the triage for overdosing on drugs. Also recorded and confessed involved with the men and women police forms. Also, like setting up things to stacking backgrounds, databases, and or narratives, pretending I had conversation or tried to hit on a woman, like these police women and stuff like that. In other words, out of sequence or dishonestly, making me have pretend I had conversations, relationships with other people with crime methods roles that are manifest, originally state-owned charge, that are completely fact-cheap in nature. Then something happens and say, oh, well, bring it down, have the courts figure it out. They need to mind their own business. We have standing, they want to feel good about themselves anyways. We have standing criminal and seditious natures. Crime tools originally still with streams of courts each day, worse than most killers, evil, worse than most gangs. They're recorded, demonstrated, confessed various natures of drug crime rolls, dealing crime rolls, arresting, entrapment crime rolls, training police forms crime rolls, fakes. CCSU's acting department also recorded and confessed criminally involved with the houses on Church Street, in the corner of Church Street and Main, criminally involved. Old Town Cafe, criminally involved. Confessed and recorded. And with the Charlie Bros, I've never had anything to do with too. Recorded and confessed involved with dozens of people associated with the Club Blue. And now with the policing associated with the, downtown Hartford and Russian Lady, and with the places in Cromwell, intercity, Town Line Road, the corner of Town Line Road, Mobile, also recorded and confessed involved with military, foreign and domestic, Pakistani families, criminally involved with Demoral families, interbranch families, fake sites, crime acts roles in the past, tied crimes with a Phil Cololo, with an Ian, and other recorded and confessed FBI, criminally involved with a Maria Fazzino and other people associated with Middletown people, and intercity criminal justice racket cliques, undercover positions, roles with club spots, stuff like that, places like that, with crime methods per natures of federal criminals associated with the former director of the FBI, and interbranch crime acts cliques criminally involved with the state judicial branch offices, with cases through time, with the area through time, intercampuses with databases through time, with the Samuel Dix house tied to that path, with the corner of Church Street, the other houses on Church Street, involved criminally with CCSU, with the acting department, with the English department, with the same drug collects roles. Also with the Frankie Reese, recorded and confessed involved criminally with Weathersfield Police through time, and with prison cliques, intercity on-off CCSU, and with deans forging and switching names, identity theft, crime acts, roles, drug cliques, with their family members too, related to deans at colleges I didn't go to too, associated with sexual circles involved with the identity theft cliques acts too, that are demonstrated involved with crime methods using polarity nature and sensibility nature. That was only realized per their involvements with men and women sexually for sustained crime acts on the youngest kids' campuses. And then as sex crime acts roll, other drug crime rolls with doctors with physical delusions, criminal influences, and crime acts with the middle school further, and with the library next to it, and state town offices there, use crime acts roles with election crimes, crime methods, motivations to it recorded, maintain systems criminally foreign influence because their nature was as a fact treatment nature system, as value system used criminally since before those physical systems were put up. The ground of education was already criminally foreign influence. Delusions wrought tactically to exploit that. Then what they put up was intersciences, database solution stacking live progressions from that spot, individually grouped and together, the sciences, not by accident, categorically. Not by accident, from off campuses maintain criminally foreign influence, categorically, sequentially, fact, treatment, nature, quality. Then that's interbranch. And then it was on off campuses again. All Oz now. All victim predators tortured each spot of time, of value, investment, speculation,